power of technology. And we've seen across so many industries how technology has completely changed the scope of what's approached, what's being tackled, and will be for the foreseeable future. And we're seeing some of that here in Italy as well. And so when .org thinks about investing, we invest about $100 million a year, and we always look around the world and try and find who are the best innovators, who are the best entrepreneurs, who is help bringing this kind of technology onto the problems that are most important, the highest challenges on our agenda, and who is doing the best job of approaching that. And so that's why my team's here today, because we think the work that's going on here is best in breed. We think the work going on here in Officina is something that the entire world can learn from. So let me give you a little bit of background about why I think that's the case. So as you think about the power of technology, even just the smartphone that many of you have in your hands, I see the young people with it, right? Typical smartphone today has more power than the computers that sent the Apollo rockets to the moon. You have more computing power in your pocket than what sent rockets to the moon. As far as access, more people now have access to smartphones than have access to a toilet around the world. And in the United States, they just did a study and found that for 70% of people, smartphone is the first thing they reach for in the morning when they wake up, and the last thing they touch at night. I'm not saying that's good, but that's the kind of ubiquity that we're seeing. So we have this amazing computational power, and it's being expressed across so many new form factors. We're seeing form factors such as sensors woven in clothing. We're seeing an AI in things like self-driving cars. But we know now that's the opportunity. That is the opportunity that we're seeing around the world that technology can bring. But here in Italy and across Europe and in the United States, we're seeing the challenge that today's young people aren't necessarily coming into the market, aren't necessarily being trained in the kind of digital skills that they're going to need to take advantage of these opportunities, right? So I don't have to tell you all that. You all are here because you're recognizing that and you're doing something about it. I just saw a statistic that here in Europe, there's going to be a gap of 900,000 jobs by 2020. 900,000 jobs that are not being filled because there are not the folks with the digital skills to take advantage of that. So that's the kind of huge opportunity that really motivates us at Google.org. And that motivated us to say, let's look around all of Europe. Let's look at where we have offices. Let's look at the places where we as Google live and have community. And let's find the partners who are doing the best job around the world in closing that gap, in bringing in the digital skills of next generation technology. And I'm so pleased to be here today because 6 months ago, the Italian team here said, we have that work going on right here in Rome. We have best in breed, best in class work going on. And so we invested here. It's one of Google's largest investments in digital skills training. And the model that I see here today is one I think that we need to spread not only across Italy, but across Europe and the world. So let me just share a couple of things that I saw today that I think are just exceptional. Because I do these visits actually quite often, and I've seen a lot of different approaches, but I saw some things here today that are truly exceptional. So, for example, I think bringing in the coaches from industry, they not only know exactly what's happening in today's industry, but they're motivational. They really care about their students, and they're invested in the future of the students. So I think the coaches that I saw were exceptional. I think the other thing is the insistence that within 1 week, that students don't just come and learn in a very rote way, but are and by the end of the week are actually producing technology. You know, this is something that we at Google think is absolutely so essential. So in fact, if you join Google as a software engineer, within 1 week of joining Google, they want you to have code that's actually released out onto Google systems. So when you join Google, they want you to act as a programmer. They actually want you to program something and have your code approved within a week. So it's the same mentality that you all have here, which is let's get to it, let's learn it, and let's get something made within a week. So I think that's absolutely fundamental. The other thing I saw here today is just the networks being created. It was so fun to see storytellers and designers sitting next to programmers and the sharing of experiences and the synergies that I saw there. And I already heard stories about how some of the friendships and networks that were created just in the 1 week have carried over into the future. And I think that that's fantastic because that's exactly the way that work is being shaped now in places like Silicon Valley or in Hollywood. It's not so much the model anymore that you're going to go and work for one company for a long time. It's more a model of creators coming together for specific projects for specific periods of time and then breaking up and then coming back together against a new project. And in that kind of work environment, the ability to have a network of people who are like you, but also people who have complementary skills is critical to a long and successful career. And then finally, seeing the range in ages and approaches. So the young kids who are using the Lego kits and sitting with a group of young girls who had colored in a path for the robot, they don't know that they're learning computational thinking. They don't know that they're learning to not be fearful of technology, but that's exactly what's happening. So to see everything from grade school kids with Legos, all the way up to the most amazing virtual reality lab I think I've ever experienced, all the way to the cutting edge of using neuroscience and biofeedback to create applications such as helping disabled people be able to move objects or to have more mobility. Just as an example, Google.org, in fact, has launched a $20 million open call around the world looking for technologies that help people with cognitive and physical disabilities. Just this year we did that. And the kinds of solutions we're looking for is exactly the kinds of things that I'm seeing in the lab here. Using eye tracking and software to help disabled people. So the exact kinds of things that are being taught here are the exact kinds of things that companies like Google want to invest in. So I just want to say thank you so much to the partners who have come together for us to be able to invest in Italy in this way. I mean, it's such a special and unique thing for us to be able to come alongside government and to come alongside some of the best creators in the industry to help seed this program. And just in wrapping up, I'm going to say, back in America, we have all been overwhelmed by the visit of the Pope. And as someone who's myself not Catholic, I can say the Pope has taken America by storm. And I think part of the reason is because he is reminding us about the best of humanity. And he is reminding us about our core values as humans. And one of those core values is inclusivity. And he has really challenged us, and I think challenged Silicon Valley and technology to think about who do we want to become? And what is the purpose of this technology? And we know we don't want to see increasingly unequal societies. That's not the end goal of business, and that's not the end goal of technology. We want to see an inclusive environment where we can have the best skills, the best thinking of today's youth, and have you be applying that kind of creativity to create the solutions for the next generation. So I think what we have seen here today and what we're so privileged to be able to invest in and partner with represents the absolute best state of the art of what is being done for digital skills training in the world. So thank you.